The doors to the Viridian Tea House are open once more. Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. I decided to do this video a couple of days early because of scheduling situations, so yay! This week has been kind of stressful. There are some things going on right now that are currently working themselves out, but just a little side note, have you ever had moments where you just get so overwhelmed with the ways of the world, your life, everyone else's life, and it just gets to a point where you say, I need some time to myself. I need a break. I'm kind of getting that way right now. So I meditated, and I will say this, meditation every day for about 10 to 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, it really does make a difference. I noticed that whenever I meditate every day, that my stress and anxiety do go down and I feel a lot more solid. So anyway, if you are going through a stressful week, couple of weeks, months, years, whatever, I hope that things will eventually get better for you. I truly do. So I've got some books, I got some tea, so without further ado, let's begin. So the first book was written by someone that I met in Bubonicon. Much love to Bubonicon, as always. And her husband is an artist that I've admired for years. I'm talking about Carolyn Kay. This is the first book in her trilogy. It is pronounced Dien Vec, but the artwork was done by Chaz Kemp. And for those of you who aren't familiar with his work, it's very Art Nouveau-ish, as you can see. Absolutely gorgeous. Like, actually in my office, I have one of his prints. It's called The Void. And strange story, I can't remember what convention, but I remember I was kind of going through the art show and I saw The Void. It's a beautiful picture. And I took it out of his clip and I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's really nice. You know, I like the colors and everything. And I tried to clip it back up. Well, it kept falling at my feet. It did that 3 times. And by the 3rd time, I looked at the painting and I said, apparently you're supposed to come home with me. So it has been with me all that time. And I thought it was really cool to finally meet Chaz Kemp and Carolyn Kay at Bubonicon. Really, really nice people. If you happen to see them at a convention, just go up to them and introduce yourself. They're just delightful folks. But yes, this is the first book in her series and I literally devoured it. I'll just read the back of it for you. Let's see. The year is 1850 in the world of man. 50 years ago, a comet crashed into the continent of Zorovia, bringing destruction and a magical curse. Fairy glamour is no more. All the fae folk, elves, trolls, goblins, gnomes, fairies, and their kith and kin have been revealed to mankind. Now the mortals of Ashelon and the citizens of the Hidden Lands struggle to coexist. Galicel, princess, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, princess of the Elven Court, is the newly appointed ambassador to Queen Victoria of Ashelon. She's nervous about her new post and curious to see for herself how the beings of the Hidden Lands are faring among the mortals. What she discovers there leads her down a path that could change her world forever. Ashelon is a land where true steampunk is on display. These aren't just pretty little Victorian tales. No shit. This is a brutal story. These are gritty stories about multicultural punks fighting against the establishment in an attempt to destroy imperialism. Only one thing stands in their way: Ashelon's Queen Victoria and the gods that are on her side. Gripping stories by Carolyn Kay and illustrations by award-winning artist Chaz Kemp. Welcome to the world of Ashelon. I have to admit, this was a story where I strapped myself in and said, okay, what you got? And the book was like, come here. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And I will say the scene regarding Galicel involving her ears, that is one of the most horrific scenes I've ever read in a book. I cringed and I felt so sorry for her. If you buy the book, you're or if you've read the story, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yes, it was horrific. And the way that she described it was just, you can't look away. But I loved how she portrayed Ashelon, very much the haves versus the have-nots, and how the Fae folk are treated like second-class citizens, if even that. But great story, great plot, great characters. I love Galacel's friend. Oh shoot, I forgot her name. Her name is what's her name? Oh, let's see. No, Galicel. Clove. I loved Clove. And again, it was very horrific what happened to Clove, but I like how she adapted to her new situation. Love the book so much that I ended up buying the second one, and I really should have. I think there was a third one. I think so. But the second one, I'm good right now. So, Dien Vec by Carolyn Kay, illustrations by Chaz Kemp, gets Viridian Tea House's 5 pots of steamed tea. Excellent job on the artwork. Excellent job with the story. I look forward to the second one, and I hope Galicel kicks some serious ass with those northern ice elves. I really, really hope so. I was just like, you go, girl. It's like, you go, girl. You take care of this. So thank you very much, Carolyn and Chaz. Thank you so much. Thank you. So the next book, as I'm looking at the cover, it was a doozy. In fact, I finished it this morning. A little side note, I'm doing 3 books in this video session, not 2. The third one, I really wanted to wait until another video, but I thought, no, it's fresh on my mind. Just go ahead and talk about it now. So I made a couple of posts about it on my social media, and it was something to the effect of, Kathryn Davis is one of those authors where you have to throw logic out the window. Don't expect to sit down and read her book and really understand what's going on. You kind of get an idea, you get a hint, but I'd like to think that Kathryn Davis kind of leaves it up to you. So this book, The Silk Road, sorry for the glare, and thanks to Arapahoe Libraries, as always, I read The Thin Place by Kathryn Davis years ago, and I loved it. I tried to read it again recently, and my brain was like, wait, I don't remember it being this convoluted, or maybe it's just me. Same thing with The Silk Road. This was a book I couldn't really put down, and yet as I read the story, I had no idea what was going on. I do have an account with Goodreads, and so I read a couple of the reviews, and there were many reviews that were 1 and 2 stars, a couple of reviews that were 4 and 5 stars, but the vast majority of them were 3 stars. And I read the different reviews, and I read what people thought as they read the book or tried to read the book, and I found myself going, I have to agree with some of these reviewers. There was one gentleman who had a 4-star review, and it was very detailed, and I wrote to him and I said, your review makes the most sense to me. So anyway, without further ado, let me just read the inside for you. The Silk Road begins on a mat in a yoga class, deep within a labyrinth on a settlement somewhere in the icy north, under the canny guidance of G. Moon, and that's J-E-E. When someone fails to arise from corpse pose, the astronomer, the archivist, the botanist, the keeper, the topologist, the geographer, the iceman, and the cook remember the paths that brought them there, paths on which they still seem to be traveling. The Silk Road also begins in rivalrous skirmishing for favor in the protected Eden of childhood, and it ends in the harrowing democracy of mortality, in sickness and loss and death. Kathryn Davis's sleight of hand brings the past, present, and future forward into brilliant coexistence. In an endlessly shifting landscape, her characters make their way through ruptures, grief, and apocalypse, from existence to non-existence, from embodiment to pure spirit. So I finished the book this morning, and like I said, it was a beautifully, beautifully written book. Just loved it. Couldn't put it down. Didn't understand it. I tried to. After I finished reading the book and I was making up the bed, and I started talking to myself, and I started working through what I thought was the gist of the story. So like I read, you have these people who are known as the cook, the botanist, all this kind of stuff, and they're in a yoga class, and one of their team members doesn't wake up. They're dead. The way that they talked, it made it seem like they were all related, or they weren't. They were either blood siblings or step siblings or soul siblings. They also talked about how they all shared a mother and they shared a father and a nanny that was apparently very old-fashioned. So as I thought about it, and I thought about it this morning, I came to this conclusion. It's one person, and that person died at yoga class. The different people that are speaking are actually that person's other personalities, other aspects. And they, even though the flesh is dead, they're still alive. They're still, in a way, they're still going through the process of the past, the present, and the future, but it's all commingled into one. So everything that you're reading about these different people, so to speak, I think it's this one person's personalities. And what really made me think that was how they kept talking about their mother and their father. And I thought, well, what if all the personalities of that one person think of this person's parents as their parents as well? I could be completely off base, and if I am, that's fine. But in using that interpretation, it makes the book makes more sense. And I will definitely read this a second time, and I actually might buy a copy for myself because, like I said, it was beautifully written, but the vast majority of people who read this book and reviewed it on Goodreads they were like, I have no idea what I just read, but it was really beautiful. And some people just absolutely trashed it. So, for The Silk Road by Kathryn Davis, published through Grey Wolf Press, it gets Viridian Tea House's 3 pots of tea. Now, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be mean about it and be like, well, I just don't understand it. For the 5th time, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful story. My interpretation of it, completely wrong, but in attaching it to the story, it makes sense. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, I kind of can see how even with the flesh dead, like I said, that the personalities are still there. The aspects of this one person are still around. So the 3 was just me going, my brain literally kind of hurt after reading this book, but it was a good hurt. It was a good hurt. So yes, once again, The Silk Road by Kathryn Davis, published through Grey Wolf Press, gets 3 pots of existential tea. Thank you very much, Grey Wolf Press. I really do appreciate giving the chance to read this book. I mean, Kathryn Davis is phenomenal as a writer, so thank you very much. Thank you. So the final book, I just have to say, Jared Millet, you are an amazing, talented as hell author. This is the 2nd book in the Majadan series, the Battle for Majadan. This one's called The Bone Collar. This picks up right where the first book ended. And I devoured it, of course, and gave it to my boyfriend. He's currently reading it right now, so I'll read the back of it for you. Majadan has fallen. The empire of the sea elves is next. Moth Blackwater loved Moth. I kept switching her age because of how she talked in one scene and then talked in another, and how she acted in a third. But anyway, Moth Blackwater is the last of her kind, a shape-shifting nomad, part human, part raven, whose tribe once wandered Majadan skies. Now that the the vampire lords have, if I said it incorrectly, Jared, I'm really sorry, my apologies, have murdered her family, and the city of Majadan itself has been conquered. Moth is on the run, half a world away, in an ancient area of seafaring elves. The Empress Tatiana, once a prisoner of the vampires, has ruled her island empire for 2,000 years. The power of her navy has brought peace to the world, but never has the Empress turned her strength against the Lord's evil. As their oncoming war threatens all of civilization, there are some who believe she won't lift a hand to stop them. In the middle of a desperate gamble to survive, Moth stumbles on the secret at the heart of Tatiana's reign, a hidden connection between the Empress and the vampires that endangers all the nations of the world. As Tatiana's admirals plot to retake Majadan by force, Moth will join a conspiracy to dethrone the Empress herself. At first, Moth was searching for nothing but a home. In that search, she was swept up in the fight to save her people. But when all sides turn against her, when every friend becomes a foe, when the threat of destruction hangs over all she holds dear, can one lonely beggar girl stand against an immortal? No matter the odds, Moth will have to try. And I have to say, I like the shift of focus to Moth Blackwater. She held her own in the story. I mean, yes, you have a girl who's probably like, what, 13 years old, maybe like 10 to 13 years old, I'm not sure. But there was so much strength in Moth, and I was cheering her on. I loved the relationship between Moth and Tatiana, and I loved how Moth discovered the secret, and quite a secret. And in fact, there's a lovely twist. Didn't see it coming. Beautifully written out. This was an exceptional sequel to an exceptional first book, and I know the third book came out in April. I'm looking forward to getting it. But yes, if you are looking for epic fantasy involving vampires and demons, well, I take that back, no demons, trogs and trolls, and sea elves, and an empress that she's a badass. She's broken, but she's a badass. And shape-shifting humans that they can shape-shift due to a bag that they have somewhere on their person, be it ravens or rats or cats. A well-described fantasy world that you could easily immerse yourself in. 5 pots of sea elf tea. Thank you so much, Jared. Really enjoyed this, and this is one of the many books where as soon as I finished it, I shook my boyfriend lightly and I said, no, really, you need to read these 2 books. And if I remember correctly, I think sometimes he's a faster reader than I am. He devoured the first one within I think it's 2-3 days or something like that. And this one, I've gone to bed early and he's still reading and going through the pages. So Bone Collar by Jared Millet, absolutely fantastic, well plotted, well written, just enough twists and turns to keep you guessing. Thank you so much, Jared. Thank you again. Truly, truly do appreciate this one. Thank you. So, on to the tea portion, and this is not really a review of tea, but this is putting the spotlight on one of my tea blends. This is the Hypatia tea blend. And Hypatia, if you don't know the inspiration behind it, she was an ancient astronomer, mathematician and philosopher. Very, very, very intelligent woman. Unfortunately, she was killed because people thought that she was a witch because she was just way too smart. But I wanted to, after reading her story, actually it was in a fiction book called The Dream of Scipio by Ian Pears. I wanted to know more about Hypatia, and in learning more, I thought she deserves a tea blend. It might be way too late, but she still deserves a tea blend. So my tea blend, the ingredients are green tea, calendula, chamomile, ginger, dried orange peel, and peppermint. So I have it in my lovely Sakura Celestial Dragon mug as always. And I did not allow the water to go to a full rolling boil. I got to the point where I saw the small fisheye bubbles, and then I let the tea steep for about 5 minutes. Normally with green tea, you can kind of let it steep between 2 to 4 minutes. I did 5 because I just wanted the extra. So, Hypatia's tea blend. Here's to you. So I do have to admit, I immediately got the peppermint, orange peel, ginger. Chamomile came at the very end, and the flowery essence would be the calendula. The green tea just added just enough of the grassy vegetal, but lovely combination. And what's interesting is that with this tea, well, no, actually with many of my teas, I like them both hot and iced. And I remember I used to make this one iced all the time because the orange peel, the ginger, and the peppermint would come full force in making it iced. But having it nice and hot like this, it's just as good. That is lovely. That is very lovely. Quite good. But yes, you can get bags of this tea on my Etsy store, and I will provide the link on the information part of the video. And yeah, you can enjoy some. And you know, I don't know about the rest of the country, but out here in Colorado, the temperatures are starting to lower, and it's like, oh, it's getting time for autumn, you know, time for sweaters and thick socks and mini cups of hot tea. But this is actually a really good tea to have all year round. And I've said this before, but it stunned me when I learned that there were some hot teas that actually cool you down. And I didn't think that was really kind of possible until I actually tried it. For me, some of the teas that kind of cool me down would be more of the whites or the greens. This particular one right here, I'm actually dealing with a scratchy throat. I don't think I'm sick or anything. I just think it might be the change of the weather because we've gone from 101 to 60 to 75 to 80 to 59. So my body, and then plus moving out here, I'm realizing that I actually have allergies. So the scratchy throat has been bothering me for the past couple of days. But this tea, it's actually coating the throat in a very good way. That is lovely. That's quite lovely. So yes, like I said, you can order the tea on my Etsy store, and I will provide the link. So that's all I have today, and now it's time to meditate. So get your tea, set it in front of you, and find a comfortable seated position or lying down or standing up. You can either close your eyes or softly focus on an object in front of you. And you know the rule. Take 2 deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, close your eyes, and just focus on your breathing. If you find yourself thinking about what you're going to have for dinner, or what did you have for breakfast, or I can't believe he said that, just lightly tap yourself and say thinking and go back to breathing. So without further ado, let's begin. And now as we end this meditation, take one deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Slowly open your eyes. Have a sip of your tea. And that's it. Much thanks again to Carolyn Kay, Kathryn Davis, Jared Millet, Grey Wolf Press, Arapahoe Libraries, and Viridian Tea Company. Thank you so much for watching this video and all the other videos. Thank you so much for the increase in subscribers. I truly do appreciate it. Thank you so much. So until next time, take care of yourself and each other. And don't forget to raise your teacup high. Talk with you soon. Bye.